throughout the offseason, Dan, we talked about what are the responsibilities of the organization to Justin Fields. And I think that when we put it in zero-sum terms about the importance of the quarterback being above everything else, people get frustrated with that, and they push back against it.
That's the league, man.
It is the league.
That's the NFL. Either you have them or you don't.
I know that now in I don't want to placate's not the right word. In trying to meet people halfway on this subject, I think that I've lost sight of it. And honestly, everything needs to be about Justin Fields. I know that people don't want to hear that. I know that Jalen Johnson doesn't want to hear that. I know that the other 52 guys in the locker room don't want to hear that. People who want the Bears to win on a weekly basis don't necessarily want to hear that. But it's the truth. The truth is that everything should be about finding out and doing a proper evaluation of this guy. That's why, like, when we were talking this morning, I got so heated about the concept of that's not my guy. Like, Ryan Poles can very easily divorce himself from Justin Fields because he didn't draft him. And I think that the whole concept of it is BS. I think the idea of it is bad business.
Well, wait, let me just step in there for a second, because I do think there is a difference between someone saying that's not, between an active interpretation of it, an active stance of someone swaggering into the job and saying anybody drafted isn't my guy, and just the human being, just the natural truth of having more investment in someone you drafted.
Yeah, but your investment this isn't a quarterback that's in year 4. This is a quarterback that's in year 2. And he's still going to be under contract for your organization for at least another 3 years when you take the job. To me, that means that you should make a real investment. And the idea of that you don't have to do that because he's not your guy and that you're going to reset the clock, to me could be a wasteful way of doing the job. Because if you don't give him enough to really go about evaluating him, and then you get to the end of this season and you go, I don't think that's it. Well, now you're spending capital. You're spending draft capital, or you're spending financial capital on the next guy. Let's say it's Bryce Young. Let's say that the Bears are bad enough that you're going to draft Bryce Young. Are you sure that you don't have the player that you think Bryce Young is if you go about giving Justin what he needs? When we allow franchises to do that, specifically, it's more so, it happens more in football than anywhere else. I think we're allowing them to be let off the hook. RIP to Denny Green. I think that it is incumbent upon us to push harder. And you know what? I tried to see it from their perspective on getting other phases of their football team fixed up. And it really hit me when Layla and I were talking with Robert Mays yesterday that it really gives them an out to go, well, who did you want them to draft other than who they drafted? There are myriad people that could have been drafted that might give you a better understanding of what Justin Fields is than what they decided. Like, it is absurd that Justin Fields is playing with 2 tackles that are 5th-round picks and a center who's not playing center. Dan, it's absurd.
And who's bad.
Yes. Who's bad at guard, and I don't know if he can play center. But all of the things that you want to do to maximize Justin Fields. And this is what I mean by your guy, like caring about him like he's your guy. Lucas Patrick should be playing center for a very important reason. He has been in the system that Luke Getty runs, and who has the most power on protection outside of the quarterback? The center. That should be a relationship that you're fostering, but you're not. You're playing Sam Mustipher here, who probably isn't going to be on your team whenever your team is great. You're putting that young man in danger, and you're putting you might have to chase bad decisions with money or draft picks because you were unwilling to treat him like he's your guy. If the Bears were to draft next year Bryce Young out of Alabama, there's no way in hell Ryan Poles would put him behind this type of line. And that doesn't mean that you have to sell out for a season where you don't think that you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. But it does mean that you can take an approach that will give you a better job of figuring out the diagnostic. And that's what I'm starting to get angrier and angrier about. I know that Fields is flawed, but trying to figure out if he's flawed because he's flawed versus he's flawed because he's got no damn help is really difficult. And I just don't trust them. I don't trust them, and I don't like how some of this stuff is gone. And we do know that Ryan Poles is very much, I want my guys in here. That whether we're talking about Soup Campbell or someone else, that we do know that he has gone to lengths to try to make it so that he's the one that's handpicking everything that goes on inside the organization. And that's his job. All I'm saying is that if it blinds you to what you have in front of you, if you're not putting in the necessary resources to make a good evaluation, you're not doing good business.
Or as it's put by our friend Stonecutter, the way the Bears are treating Fields feels like Ryan Pace bought the Bears a lotto ticket and Ryan Poles is refusing to even check the numbers.
It's a good way to put it. I started thinking about it. Like I had some conversation, like there were people who were listening to the Robert Mays interview in real time, got people that I trust in the game that were hitting me up. So I started really thinking about that conversation. And if we give them the out of, well, there weren't any quality offensive linemen for them to draft, or, well, you could have drafted George Pickens, but that's a whole nother conversation, that gives them an out that they don't deserve. They should have gone into this season looking at how can we maximize our evaluation of Justin Fields. And they haven't done it, and they won't do it. When Jason Leisure is out here telling you, didn't you sign this guy to play center? Shouldn't you play him at center? And they're like, maybe. That to me is malpractice. Even with the group of people that you have, you're not putting the best group of people in the best position to succeed. That's bad coaching and bad management.
Unless he can't snap because of an injury.
But they've seen him snap. They've seen him snap the ball. If you're still out here saying, well, we'll just keep allowing our left tackle to get beat up by bull rushes, and our right tackle, we don't even know if he's any good, instead of actually trying other things that might work better, that's bad coaching, and that's malpractice by the general manager. I just want to reset that for people, that this is a way that I'm looking at it going forward. You have not seen management do what they need to do to allow for an actual evaluation of the quarterback.
I think the question that needs to be repeated that you've stated is, ask yourself as you observe this, had they drafted Justin Fields, would they have the same people around him?
And I think the answer is no.